Hi there. I thought, let's have a bit of fun today. Let's do something that's a bit enjoyable, a bit of fun. And what is more fun than a book haul? Let's face it, we all love a book haul. Some of us, myself included, love a book haul a bit too much and are constantly in danger of being forced out of house and home by too many books. I did find myself at one stage thinking, do I really need that sofa in the living room? Because if I didn't have it, I could fit a bookshelf on the wall behind it. However, common sense overwhelmed me on that one at least. So this book haul is for the month of April and May, yes. I did one quarterly, I think already this year, and I was going to try and maintain a once a quarter book haul for this year. Tops, but I am going to the United Kingdom. In fact, when this gets posted, I might be already on my way to the United Kingdom. I do expect to find a book or two there. I am hopefully catching up with John, the sci-fi book scavenger, and books shall be found. Books shall be found. So, what have I got? I've got rather a lot. Let's pick them at random. Well, it's not at random, I saw it. Okay, this is a movie tie-in book. The Coolangatta Gold. And you've got a scene from the movie on there. I have never actually seen this movie. It's the cover itself claims Richard Butler adapted from the screenplay by Peter Shrek. Not that Shrek, another Shrek. An older Shrek. Because the Coolangatta Gold came out, it's by Budget Books by the way, and it came out in 1984. So I haven't seen it and I'm pretty sure I've never read it before. The Coolangatta Gold is the toughest race of its kind anywhere in the world. 26 miles of physical torture for a prize of $20,000 in gold bullion. But Steve Lucas was running for a far bigger prize than that. I mean, these days, if anyone said Coolangatta race, everyone would be turning towards the beach and assuming that it was surf, but apparently no, apparently there was running involved. I would prefer the surf, which is good today in any case. Anyhow, that's the first one, movie tie-in, Coolangatta Gold. If you have read it, let me know. This is the most recent one. I bought this morning. Juliet Marillier is an Australian author by courtesy of the fact that she currently lives in Perth, I believe. But she was born in New Zealand, and she writes some of the most beautiful fantasy. Wildwood Dancing is one of a trilogy, if I'm not mistaken, of books that are kind of fairy tale tie-ins, but they all are quite unique in their own way. I have had a copy of this before and I have read it many years ago. Past Deb was moving house and decided to get rid of books that she'd already read. Sometimes I wish I could travel back in time and kick Past Deb in the ass to make her stop getting rid of books that she's going to regret. Anyhow, it's got this fantastic artwork and it has been quite a few years. I'm looking forward to rereading Wildwood Dancing and hopefully to finding others from the series. And it's a Random House. I don't think it credits the artwork, but I'll look into that further when I'm actually about to read it. What am I randomly picking up here? Aha! We've got a couple of penguins. So Jules Burt has very much enabled my fondness for the old penguins, which I did always like. And these two are by Muriel Spark, who I hadn't heard of. The Ballad of Peckham Rye and Robinson. Now, when I looked up Muriel Spark, I found that she's an author that it seems like she was niche, a bit like maybe Josephine Tay, and she wrote these mystery thrillers as far as I know, with that fantastic art. It's an unusual art style, it's kind of naive, but I do enjoy it, and they are credited to Terence Greer, and I am very much looking forward to reading them. There's times when I'm in the mood for nothing so much as an English style book with a bit of mystery, a bit of thriller, and well written. England produced a large number of authors that no one seems to talk about today. Perhaps they do in England, but they don't here. And we don't much on the YouTube either, but we should. What have we got here? Aha! Ben Bova, Empire Builders. The stunning sequel to Privateers by the best-selling author of Peacekeepers and Mars. Don't know where I came across this. I'm going to say the chances are good that it was in a second-hand shop where I just happened to be. Not that I needed anything second-hand, but books. And that is my life. Okay, so it's not the first in the series. That means it can go to one side. Ben Bova, by the way, is relatively rare to find in the wild here. I think I've found 2 or 3 in the last, I don't know, half dozen years. So the fact that it is a Ben Bova and a Tor, by the way, would mean that I would automatically purchase it. Ah, yes. The Silent World by Jacques Cousteau. This is a hardcover, and we all know that I don't much like the hardcovers, but Jacques Cousteau is one of the exceptions to that rule. That the old books, he is one of the people that first made scuba diving a thing that the general public looked at and thought, hey, I can do that. And I have read, I'm not sure I've read this one. I've read some things by Jacques Cousteau before. And one day when I am very, very wealthy, not with my book habit I won't be, I might actually go to Fiji and stay on the dive resort that was established by him. Anyway, looking forward to that sometime when I'm not in the mood for fiction. And I've got another hardcover in my hand, and this one I'm very excited by. So we know I don't love the hardcovers so much, but if it has to be a hardcover, at least it's a decent sized one that'll fit on my shelves. No dust jacket, I'm afraid, but it's an older one. And this is The Golden Lion, Tarzan and the Golden Lion by Edgar Rice Burroughs. I've been picking up a lot of Edgar Rice Burroughs recently. I must sit down and do a whole Edgar Rice Burroughs blitz. This was an author that I used to absolutely binge on when I was a teenager. I wonder if I still can. I don't know that I've read And the Golden Lion before, but if I have, it was such a long time ago that it'll be like reading a new book. Now, it's got this fascinating frontispiece. It's hard to tell, but that lion is actually golden rather than brown, and the Tarzan is perhaps not quite that vibrantly orange. It's more of a red in reality. But it's an interesting one. It's glued in, and my first thought was someone had taken it off the wraparound and put it there. Now I'm not so sure. Now I think maybe it was designed in there. Anyway, great art. No idea who did it. Might find out before I review it. Okay, The Return of Walter de la Mare. A fantastic novel of possession by an evil spirit, and it's this beautiful old pan book. The reason I've got it is probably because the cover isn't intact. But lovely old pan in reasonably good condition. Aside from that, the pages actually still hold onto the spine, which is always an advantage with pans. They don't seem to do that for the long term. I've got another Juliet Morelia. It seems to have been a Morelia month. Fox Mask. Fox Mask, again with some fantastic artwork, is also part of a series, though a different series. This one is historical fantasy. After much sorrow and betrayal, the Norseman Eyvind, perhaps, and the priestess Nessa have created a society where Norse warriors and the gentle folk of the Orkney Islands live in contentment. A decade and more has passed since the devastating events of the creation of the settlement, which I don't have a book for. However, maybe one day I will, because I found all of these in the wild, so who knows. Haha. This one I think I found in the local book exchange, free book exchange place. It's The Luck Machine by E.C. Tubb. And it's an EC Tubb, so I couldn't leave it behind. The downside is that it is in fact large print. And while I'm probably of the age group where they do make large print for, I've never actually read a large print before. However, it is EC Tubb. It's an EC Tubb I've never seen before. For EC Tubb, I might be willing to sit like this trying to read a large print book. The world is surrounded by intangible energies, of which man has little knowledge. Electricity, once an unsuspected natural force, is now a known reality, so why not luck? Once recognized as an actual force, the next step is to construct a machine to harness its forces. However, if one person attracts good luck, another is due for bad luck, and when the luck machine falls into the wrong hands, the inventors wish they'd stuck to rabbit's feet and black cats. E.C. Tubb could pulp. This is a man who understood the core necessity of pulp and excitement, and I've got high hopes for the luck machine. Okay, here we've got two new books, brand new books. And you stroke them, they feel kind of like suede. Okay, so I came across these in the local markets. We have markets at the down the shoreline last Sunday of every month, I think it is. And on this particular occasion, I was meandering with my book club buddies, Kira Book Club, and I came across this stall that we knew would be there. It's why we were meandering. Gold Coast author Andrew McDermott, who apparently tried initially to go under Andy McDermott, but that didn't go well because there's another one and they're famous. It's always kind of fun if you live in a random location to read books that are set in your random location, and these ones are. He's also got a series that are set in America, but these ones are Gold Coast based, and the first one in the Gold Coast Detective Scotty Steffen's book number 1 is X, which I assume is its title, because there's no other title particularly visible. And number 2, Mary's Mansion. I am very keen for these ones. I don't know how fast to read they'll be, so I've been waiting until I can clear some of my schedule, maybe reach my ABC challenge of M. Looking forward to them though. Okay. Oh yes, Frank Herbert, author of Dune Direct Descent. So we've got this fantastic cover and it's a wraparound. Poor Frank Herbert. I don't think he deserved it. Sure, Dune is a great book, but every single book after that always said author of Dune, and he deserved better in my personal opinion. Now, this is an unusual book in that it's got a lot of illustrations. It's not quite a comic book or trade paperback book. You do have an elegant sufficiency of text, but there is a lot of really good black and white artwork. So you do have pages with no artwork, but if you flick through, can I do this? Not terribly well. If you flick through, you will find that the majority of the pages have got quite a bit of very good and I understand relevant artwork. So I am looking forward to this Frank Herbert. I won't get to it immediately, but I'm looking forward to it. I was lucky enough to find a Tanith Lee in the wild. Rare. And for Tanith Lee, I'm even willing to go for these huge tombstone-style books instead of my more preferred classic science fiction normal-sized books. They're large, they're heavy, they don't fit in my backpack when I'm going to work. They certainly don't fit in any handbag, they're not comfortable to read, and if you're walking to the beach, it's an added half a kilo that you really didn't need. However, publishers love them. Don't know what's with that. Here in a Cold Hell is book 2 in the Lion Wolf trilogy, and I think the person who got rid of it because it's quite terribly faded. Of this trilogy, I now have, except for the back. The back is not faded, but the front and the spine very much are. I now have 2 of the Lion Wolf trilogy, and I might well start reading them as soon as I have the 3rd. A normal-sized book, thank goodness. Joseph Conrad, The Nigger, Narcissus, Typhoon, and Other Stories. Came across this one somewhere. We've got a nice little penguin edition. I have read some Joseph Conrad, but not nearly enough, and I feel I should read more. So I'll get to that one day. And there's that strong nautical persuasion that you can tell from the cover, and I'm there for that. What else? Oh, yes. Robin Hobb's Megan Lindholm, The Inheritance, an anthology of tales from the 6 Dukies. Duke has land, that thing, whatever. I can't speak. And beyond. Okay, so Recently, in my particular corner of BookTube, there's been a certain amount of Robin Hobb versus Megan Lindholm discussion. Some people didn't realise that Megan Lindholm was in fact Robin Hobb, and my understanding of how that came about was there was one particular compendium where the author wanted all female science fiction writers. And Robin Hobb is an ambiguous name. It had been the name that she'd been writing under, but because it was earlier in her career and she couldn't insist, and the editor wanted this, she went under Megan Lindholm. So you get both names. I actually think that the Lindholm stories are overall fantastic. Often, I did like Robin Hobb, the Assassins trilogy. I enjoyed it, but I do think that some of her earlier stuff is far more creative and inventive and interesting. Certainly weirder, which is a good thing. Mary Higgins Clark, Weep No More, My Lady. I don't know that I've ever read any Mary Higgins Clark, to be honest, but I keep seeing them out there, and they're nice little books that I like the look of, and other people seem to be reading them and enjoying them. So now I think I have 3. I'm going to have to read them sometime. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yes, so I generally prefer classic science fiction and fantasy. I generally prefer paperbacks. The downside to all that is what happens to paperbacks. However, here I've got C.S. Lewis, That Hideous Strength paperback, and I really love that cover. The fact that it's not attached, I'm going to have to do something about that. I'll go through Jules Bert's old videos and see if there's a way I can heal this book. But That Hideous Strength, it seems to be a lot chunkier than I remembered. I thought I'd read it, but maybe I hadn't. Maybe I'd read something else from that series, and so not that one. Hold that thought. I'm pretty sure there's another C.S. Lewis here somewhere. There it is. I was right. In the same series with very similar cover art is Perelandra. I do think I may have Perelandra. I know that I had one out of this series, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was this one. But the artwork is fantastic. And this one is actually attached to the spine still. So now I've got 2 of the C.S. Lewis in space ones. If I've read these, it was a long time ago as well. So I'm definitely up for rereading those sometime soon. Another proper book, Out of Their Minds by Clifford D. Simak, with some fantastic artwork. I don't think this is a Simak I already have, but you've got to be honest. With that artwork, I'd probably have bought it even if I did have it. And that, my friends, is how I happen to have 3 copies of The Werewolf Principle. Okay, now I was at a strange little shop down the road that does have occasional weird books. Nick from the Book Graveyard, if you're watching this, that was the same shop where I found that little gem of Stag Publishing for you. I'll keep looking for more. But I found these hardcovers. Again, hardcovers, not my favourite. Not his favourite. He loves them. They're very chewy. But these are strange hardcovers. They're a decent size, and I'm willing to negotiate. Plus, they don't weigh as much as those silly modern format books. Who remembers Georgette Heyer? I recently read a Victoria Holt. It was a romance, gothic romance? Maybe. I'm still on the fence on that one. But Georgette Heyer was another one of those romance writers that anyone had heard of, everyone had heard of, everyone had read some, and were everywhere, until one day they weren't anymore. This is the second Australian edition from 1951, and it looks as if it was beloved by someone, so they've wrapped it in plastic carefully, sticky taping it to the inner spine, but protecting the dust cover. The dust cover is amazing. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed the Victoria Holt. I'm well up for revisiting some of the historic romance genre. So that first one is the Grand Sophie. I also found the Nonsuch, and there were a lot of them. I chose only 3, but these three all seem to have plots that I would enjoy. This one has suffered more in life. It hasn't been coated in plastic like the other ones, but it still has a fair amount of its dust cover, black sheep, and some fantastic artwork on all of them. So I'm actually quite keen about those. Ah yes, Rumblefish by S.E. Hinton. I imagine that most people my age or younger are aware of The Outsiders. I loved the movie when I was a teenager. I've adored the book my whole life. I know S.E. Hinton wrote several other ones, including Rumblefish. Not sure I've ever encountered this particular one before. It's very thin. We'll see if I like it as much as The Outsiders. Ha ha ha. I doubt if I could like anything very much as I like The Outsiders. I really love that book. Iris Murdoch, The Sea, The Sea. I've got a feeling that I was looking for this book years ago. I'm not sure why. The sea, turbulent and leaden, transparent and opaque, magician and mother. It's the sea. I'm going to like it. But is it the sea? It sounds like it isn't. When Charles Araby, over 60, a demigod of the theatre, director, playwright and actor, retires from his glittering London world in order to abjure magic and become a hermit, it is to the sea he returns. But then it doesn't say an awful lot more about the sea, so I'm feeling like I may have been ripped off with the promise of the sea that isn't there. Oh yes, this one is purely because it's a gorgeous old pan. Noel Coward apparently wrote Pomp and Circumstance, and I love the book and I love the cover. I'm not entirely sure that I will ever read this one, but I couldn't leave it where it was. It might have suffered dire things. Someone might not have appreciated it, and I might still read it. I think I did read a Noel Coward once. Yes, these are gems. These are small, precious gems. I am so thrilled that I've got them. I'm almost going to be too scared to read them. So these are Pelican books. Animals Without Backbones 1 and 2 by Ralph Buxbaum? I can't pronounce that. Anyhow, invertebrate zoology, and specifically marine zoology, was the core essence of my degree when I did a science degree. And invertebrates of the insect persuasion were my first few jobs with the Department of Primary Industries. Invertebrates, as far as I'm concerned, are the most fascinating of animals. After the spine, things just went downhill. These are old books. They've got front pieces of illustrations, good old scientific illustrations of the sort that do your heart good, because you know that someone sat down with pen and ink and did them. And more incredibly for their era, they've got photographs. They've got photographs of the invertebrates that were very hard to insert into text back when these were published. When were they published, by the way? Pelican Books, A187. Chat. And I have got a 1948 edition. Can't be. No way. Oh wait. No. 1968. Maybe I do need that large print EC tub after all. Anyway, but Animals Without Backbones. A couple of the non-fictions in this little haul. It's not that little. The sun is setting while I haul here. I'm very, very keen on those. I will read them, but they're not going to the beach. They're not going anywhere. They're staying here and being protected from life. Another Frank Herbert, author of the classic Dune sequence. Poor guy. This one is called Soul Catcher. Reapy Cheep is unhappy because he wants to roost. And I do like Frank Herbert. I'm more and more keen to read more and more of his books that aren't Dune, simply because, out of a sense of, I don't know, annoyance that every single book says that. Okay, we've got a classic crime penguin that I found somewhere or other and decided I wanted. I must have been in the mood for crime. I have read a few crimes recently. The Case of the Gilded Fly. Don't ask me. By Edmund Crispin. Don't ask me. I know nothing. This is not one of the really, really old penguins. It's got an ISBN already, though the ISBN is still on the spine. So it's old, but not incredibly old. Not as old as my beautiful pelicans. Hot Rod Inferno by Robert Sidney Bowen. Why on earth did I buy Hot Rod Inferno? I mean, the cover's kind of cute. Why on earth would I have bought a Hot Rod Inferno? I'm not interested in cars. It's a Priory Books, whatever Priory Books publishers are. First published in Lancer. I don't know. Did I buy this for someone? Did I email or text someone and say, do you want a Hot Rod book? I've got no idea why I've got this. Okay, maybe I'll read it anyway. But if I promised it to you, do let me know, because I've really forgotten that in a big way. There was a garage sale next door, and I bought Yellow Face by Rebecca F. Kung. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Sorry if it isn't. Can't help it. This was a big deal. Everyone was talking about it for a while. The author, Rebecca F. Kung, is definitely a big deal, and everyone's talking about her still. They're not for that book. I do remember when that came out thinking that I wouldn't mind reading it, so when I came across it for a couple of bucks, I picked it up. And now it will doubtless sit in my to-read shelf for the next years, or months at least. Okay, I think, I've got a couple more. I've got a Brian Aldiss, The Militia Tapestry, the best novel Brian Aldiss has written for a long time, apparently. Now, I know nothing about it except the author, but this is one of the authors that I will buy a book sight unseen if that author is on the cover. And there we go. I found this. I think I was inspired by Chris from Liminal Spaces. He's had so many Japanese type books that when I saw Satoshi Yagisawa, More Days at the Morisaki Bookshop, I got it. I know it isn't the first in the series. I know there's another before it. But it sounds fun, and it sounds like it's going to be quite readable even if I haven't read the first one. Tell me if I'm wrong. I wonder if this love of books is hereditary. I sometimes think that might be why I'm still coming so often to the shop on my days off work. This is a bookshop, my uncle says. How are we not going to look at books? Right, Takako? Right, I agree with a laugh. This is my beloved Morisaki bookshop. It's been an inseparable part of my life since the days I lived here. In its own modest way, it's a place that holds so many little stories within its walls. Maybe that's the reason I keep coming back. It's a bookshop. What more do you need? And finally, I do believe that this missed out on being part of my last book haul. Either that or I've been so careful of it I didn't know where else to put it, where it would be as safe as my book haul shelf. This is Thrilling Wonder Stories, The Citadel of Lost Ages, a complete short novel by Lee Brackett. And this was sent to me by the wonderful Nick from the Book Graveyard with that huge haul that I unhauled probably last time, and this one didn't make it onto that haul, so I'm sharing it now. Again, it's just so beautiful. I'm almost going to be a bit scared to read it, but it's got Brackett Long Sinclair Gallen on the back, whatever that means, and I think it's just gorgeous. That artwork is spectacular. If you can paint things like that, you can really call yourself an artist. Okay, so I'd say that my to-read shelf is now thoroughly over the 600 mark. And while there's a lot here that I'm very keen for, there's a few that is going to take me a while to get to. Maybe never. In the case of Hot Rod Inferno. What on earth was I thinking? I'm going to pick this up one day and maybe figure out why it's there. But yeah, weird. Some non-fiction I'm really excited about. In fact, some locally published new books set where I live. That'll be fun. And lots more fantasy and science fiction and beautiful old penguins and surprising romance hardcovers in fantastic condition with great artwork on them. I mean, worth it for the artwork, right? That's what I keep telling myself. Clifford D. Simak, worth it for the artwork. C.S. Lewis. I have heard things about that Hideous Strength, that these are far, far more religious-based than his Narnia series, which I've been arguing this for years, but I don't think that Narnia is necessarily especially religious. You can interpret it that way. I'm sure there's plenty of other ways you could interpret it as well. Anyhow, thank you for watching this far from small book haul. Glad you joined me. Think of me winging my way over the Pacific, probably on my way to the UK, and I look forward thoroughly to sharing whatever books I happen to purchase in the UK with you. I should also mention I am going to try and post reviews while I'm overseas. That'll be a whole new set of technology that my tiny brain may not be able to deal with, so they may be quite terrible, but I will try. Thank you for watching. I do think that I publish videos fairly regularly. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that while I'm away, but I will be back. I will be back sooner or later with more books, with more reviews of books, which are my favourite thing to do on the internet, no matter what anyone says. And in the meantime, read good books. I will be. Bye.